As I get older, I have to consistently fight against the urge to become completely and utterly disinterested in people. Because as someone who's driven Uber for over 5 years and taken over 18,000 rides in both Pittsburgh and Chicago, I can say that I've interacted with a lot of different people. And when you've interacted with a lot of different people, you come to pick up on certain patterns. You come to see that certain people act like this and other people act like that. That certain people think like this and other people think like that. You start to categorize people using hard and fast criteria so that your mind doesn't have to get involved, so that every interaction is smooth without you ever having to think. And it becomes incredibly disheartening to see over time that your database of archetypes and stereotypes is becoming thicker and thicker and thicker. It's disheartening as someone who is inclined to create, someone who is inclined to play with ideas, because I need to believe that just around the corner, I'm going to find somebody, I'm going to stumble upon someone who is going to introduce me to something new. Someone who is going to break the archetype, break the stereotype, someone who is going to unleash these untapped reservoirs of gold, of genius that no one had seen before because they weren't willing to pick and pick and pick at the ground until eventually, boom, the black gold flows from underneath the earth. I have to consistently fight against this urge to become completely and utterly disinterested in people because I know if I don't, entropy will take over. Entropy will continue to work against me and work against me and work against me until I become someone who is frail and old and bitter because I didn't capture my youth, because I didn't take risks, because I wasn't open to experience, because I stereotype people. I played too heavily into the archetypes. I allowed that database to become fuller and fuller and fuller and overflow until eventually all my mind was a database of what? The past, of what interactions I had already had, not interactions I was going to have in the future, of what the culture had taught me to believe, what history had taught me to believe, instead of what could be, what was possible, what my imagination could conjure out of thin air. This is what I have to fight against every single day. And how I do it is by making a conscious effort, though it is becoming far less conscious as I continue to do it more and more and more and more and more. This is something I've been doing for quite some time, is to become interested in other people. I know, radical idea. Become interested in someone else instead of yourself. Whoa. Shocker. It's not like humans didn't used to do that. You can do it too. I can do it too. You and I can become interested in other people. I know, it just blows your brain. But you can seriously, for even just a minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes, decide, you know what? I'm going to shut down my internal monologue. I'm going to quiet that, or I'm going to put it to the side. And I'm going to say, you know what? For these next 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes for my life, in an Uber or Lyft ride, I'm going to focus completely on the other person. I'm going to ask them questions. When they say something, I'm going to pick more. I'm going to dive further. I'm going to dig deeper. I'm going to see what else do they have to say. Oh, that's interesting. Tell me more. I want to hear more about that. Even if it's something mundane, even if it's something I could care less about. Them going to some pizzeria that I've never been to. I don't care. I'm interested. I'm all in. It doesn't matter how dumb or lame it is. I'm in. I'm on it. Because in truth, nothing is really dumb or lame. These people are living their lives. They have their own monologues. They have their own histories, their own past, their own stories, their own fantasies and ideas in their heads. They do, unless they really are NPCs. In that case, I don't know what to say. But assuming they are humans, assuming they mirror me at all, given that we are the same species, that we have very similar DNA in almost all respects, they have these things within them. And so none of this stuff is dumb or lame. It is interesting. Even if it's not interesting to them, it's interesting to someone at some perspective, at some level. And I'm going to embody that perspective. Because, to tell the truth, I am interested. I'm not even faking. You could think it's faking. And perhaps you would have to fake it. Perhaps you have to fake it until you make it. This may be one of the cases where that's positive. Instead of trying to pretend like you're rich, driving around in some car you rented for way more money than you'll ever make. Perhaps you need to fake it in order to make it. Because, to tell the truth, this stuff is interesting. Why? Well, for starters, if you're anxious, this is a great way to not be anxious. Because you can't be anxious about your problems when you're focused on somebody else's. That's what people say. If you want to stop the drama in your head, go help somebody. Open a door for somebody. Help the elderly. Help the sick. Go volunteer. Go build a house. I don't know. Do something good. Habitat for Humanity. Anything you can think of. Do it. Won't think about your own problems because you got other problems to solve. Deal with other stuff. This is why humans were probably far less anxious in times past, except for that of trying to make sure they didn't starve or trying to make sure that an enemy war band didn't come into their village. If that was secure, they didn't have these other concerns, more than likely. These concerns about where do I fit in? Or will I be high status enough? Or will I make enough money? No, they were dealing with other problems. They had to deal with family problems. They had to deal with communal problems. Oh, this person needs help with their roof? Cool, I'm on it. This person needs help fishing? Oh, cool, I'm on it. Whatever it was, they had to deal with that stuff. And so if you simply become interested in other people, you are going to do a lot of great things for yourself. First and foremost, you're actually going to see that people do have something to offer to you. That not everybody is a narcissist. That not everybody is an extremist. That not everybody is completely absorbed in their phones. That not everybody is XYZ. Whatever you think is plaguing the 21st century, not everybody's like that. In fact, a lot of people aren't. Secondly, you're going to see that a lot of people do have inner worlds that are very fascinating. They have dreams, they have ambitions, they have goals, they have images that you have not conjured before and that you can learn from, that you can integrate with your own and perhaps build something even greater. This is how we grow as a species. This is how we elevate our consciousness as a collective. We have these conversations, which, by the way, is the reason why people in power don't want you to have conversations like this. They don't want you to seek conversations. They want to convince you that it's a worthless affair, that it's fruitless, because when you don't have conversations like this, honest, open, without any fear of judgment, willing to say anything, no matter what the risk, that is how you grow. That is how the collective gets better. This is what you're going to find. You'll find that people actually do have good ideas, that they have seen things you haven't seen. They've been places you haven't been. Today, I talked to somebody who was in Ukraine in January. He told me all about it. I never knew what was going on in Ukraine, at least not at that level. You hear stuff in the news. You hear it from independent reporters, journalists. But you don't really know, right? This guy was there. He was right there. He told me all about it. There was a ballistic missile. 20 minutes for him. He heard it. Boom! Went off before any of the alarms could because it was a hypersonic missile. Crazy stuff. Told me all about it. It was fantastic. Wouldn't have known if I didn't talk to him. This is what you're missing out on because you're not interested in other people, because you're not willing to dive into their mundane stories. And why you're not willing to do it? Well, because you think you're so much better. You think your life is so much more adventurous, so much more creative. It's not. Your life is full of a lot of mundane stuff too. I know mine is. I eat rice and eggs twice a day. Nothing exciting about that. I go to the gym every day. Nothing exciting about that. I drive Uber every day. Nothing exciting about that. I make videos. Nothing exciting about that. All of the stuff I do is mundane. And yet, I would judge somebody for their mundane? No, of course not. I'm going to be interested because it's interesting, simply because it's life itself. So you get out of your own head. You find that people aren't as crazy and dumb as you think they are, that they are interesting. And because of this, you actually have great conversations because when you're interested, they open up. And when they open up, you might actually dive into something deep and meaningful and philosophical that makes the whole conversation incredible, something that you remember, something that inspires you to do it again and again and again and again and again. This is what you could do, but you're not doing. And if you're not doing it, get it. You don't have to do it all the time either, right? Don't take this out of context. Don't say, oh, well, Nate said that I need to do this all the time. I need to be completely open to people all the time. Not true. No. Go with your own rhythms. If you're feeling incredibly open or far more open than usual, go with it. Flow with it. If you're not, maybe force it a little bit. But if not, if it's really not going, don't. Go with your own rhythms. Listen to yourself. But at the same time, don't listen too much to yourself because yourself lies. Because it's not really yourself. It's your biases, your fears, how you've trained yourself to believe you should live, how the program that the culture has put in you tells you to operate. There's a lot of nuance. But long story short, if you want to have great conversations, be interested and live by the rhythms of your own soul. Then I say God bless. Have a great night. I'll see you in the next one. My voice is getting very hoarse. Oh my God. This is New Da Vinci. Peace.